Welcome to Overtime and Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the big stories in CSGO, quicker than NA's trip to the airport. Quick reminder to rate and review us, it really helps us. I'm Logan, this is Aizyesque. Let's get into it. Elliot didn't know I was making a North American airport joke, but
Look, this whole week's been an American airport joke.
You know what? I think you're right. All right. We had a quick conversation before we started the podcast today. We had no clue what we were going to talk about. And then we realized there's this huge event happening or something that apparently matters called the Major. So I guess we'll talk about that. But first,
were we not going to talk about the other big news first, like we did last week?
Oh yeah,
you got to keep the big stuff to the end. Keep them tuned in. Like everyone's here. Like everyone wants to hear about how Australis are dog shit, how North America. But you got to keep them on the. You got to keep them on.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, so important things that we don't have time to cover today because they're important, but we've talked about the Major. EG released their entire coaching staff, but didn't correctly do it. So Malik got released and found out before the tweet, but Hepa, who's the analyst, former Liquid analyst, and the assistant coach, didn't find out until an Evil Genius tweet.
I'm pretty sure Malik found out he was leaving OG beforehand because I'm pretty sure it was his decision.
Yeah,
I think he didn't necessarily find out, as in. It was he just decided to, and they were like, yeah, we released him. You know, like when you break up with somebody, it was a mutual decision for her to sleep with my friend.
So that's EG. We have heard nothing more on the 15-player roster front. We will continue.
Might not be happening anymore.
It may not be happening anymore. We'll continue to have updates on that as it comes. OG. Rumors are currently that Valda and Nico are going to be benched from OG, leaving Flamesy, Nexa, and Man2 on the roster. I know my roster's in my head. So don't know who they're going to pick up. My guess is they're very interested in the post-major shuffle that is inevitably going to happen.
Yeah. Apparently the CIS roster shuffle is dark and full of secrets. Like a good cup of coffee.
Yeah. 00 Nation has benched Leo. That's the extent I have to say on that. They're looking at Big Uzera or
Big Uzera on that team. That team is fire. I mean, the team already has a lot of quality players. They just have no idea how to play. Yeah. Big Uzera is really good. He's really good. And Luke Halsey is the other option, which is a strange one also because... Good. He is good, but he's also quite similar to Malbs, so there'd be some clash there.
I don't think there were any other non-major related important things, but there's been a lot. If they're
that important, we wouldn't have forgotten them.
Oh, Dignitas!
Yeah, like I said, not that important.
Dignitas is officially releasing their entire roster, but may keep some of their players.
Basically, so they're all available for transfer, which means... Yeah. They are begging people to give them money for some of these players. And if not, they were like, well, fuck it, we'll have to keep them.
Yeah, basically, they want to win, per their words. Interesting thing we found out about this, the Observer Sapphire, now mostly Valorant Observer, apparently the Counter-Strike team was kind of her project from the start, which makes sense, but interesting thing. And yeah, Forrest has very vocally come out and said that he would like to still compete. So I assume Forrest will still be competing.
He also sounded like he was definitely on his way out.
Yeah.
Look, I've seen some people saying, oh, Fnatic should get Forrest. Fnatic should not get Forrest. They might do, but they should not get Forrest.
We've had some Forrest statements in our time, but... I'm not sure if that's the right one.
Yeah. I'm willing to defend that. If anyone wants to argue it, Fnatic should not sign Forrest. If he wasn't called Forrest, nobody would care about him on this team. He's like middle of the pack, 32-year-old man.
Yeah, but he's middle of the pack, in which Fnatic as a team has 0 middle of the pack players. Okay, Messi.
Messi's well above middle of the pack, and the rest of
That
them
is
are a
well
little
above
bit
middle of the pack,
below.
but every we have one more thing that we forgot about because it's been such a news packed week. ESIC finally came out with some coaches.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We're
I don't
spending two
even want
minutes on
to.
it. It's
Like,
not
I
even
really don't want to talk about this anymore. They're fucking useless, dude. Like,
right before the
how have
major
you
started.
taken 14 months to come up with Hallie, and then you watch the clip, and it's like, it took you 14 months, and you came to the conclusion, yeah, this guy is cheating.
For context, the first episode of this podcast, which was in either very late January or early February of 2021, was about the coaching bug. That's what our first episode was about.
And our last one, in the 3rd of January 2020 will also probably be about this fucking coaching bug, because ESIC are spending months at a time to, like, either get things wrong or state the fucking obvious. How did it take 40 months to realise that Peacemaker is cheating? You watch that for 30 seconds, you go, oh yeah, he's cheating. What did it take 14 months?
I don't know. They should have something like the like college admissions has, which is rolling admissions. Like as you submit your application, you hear back. As they find the cheats, they should release them. They shouldn't wait
Yeah.
for, hey, we're gonna do a big dump here. And they didn't even do a big dump. They only released the 3 that are in the major.
Yeah.
So that would be Zach from
Well,
9Z.
Well,
3
they released 3 that are at the major.
3
Let's
that
say
are at the major. Peacemaker, who is on Imperial, Zach, who is on 9Z, and Hallie, who's on Spirit. It seems to have affected some of the teams. It has also seemed to not affect some of the teams. So
Yep.
we'll talk about that in our
We'll
major
get to
stuff.
that.
We'll get to that. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about this before we go and talk about the big story portion of the podcast, which is now the official name of that beginning portion of the podcast.
Good luck remembering that next week.
Absolutely no shot. All right, major challenger stage.
Woo!
It's happening today. The day that this podcast comes out will be the last day. We will have only 3 and 3 was it 3 and 2 teams left? 2 and 2 teams.
There'll be 2 and 2 teams left by the time this comes out. They'll probably, by the time this comes out, they'll be just before the first game tomorrow.
Yes.
Which
it actually will be at the first game.
At the moment, looks like it might be Astralis versus Team Liquid.
God, fuck me. All right, let's
Astralis are 2 and 2.
All right, let's start at the beginning. All right. I'm not going to actually start all the way at the beginning. We're going to start going into the 2-1 matches.
Okay, but we might need to give some context as to how these teams got to 2-1. Because
2-0, I meant 2-0.
Okay.
That like
okay,
that
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Okay, before the tier before the best of threes.
Yeah.
Basically, TLDR, there were no huge upsets in the very first round of best of ones.
No.
Like everyone did the correct thing for the most part.
So we managed to not die in an entire game.
Yeah, that was insane. So I need to give some context about the very first slot of games. Okay, I watched. I woke up for 6 a.m. I had to wake up. I had to be at work at 7:30 in the morning Eastern. Okay, the Liquid match was on at 7:15. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna set my alarm a little early. And then I looked at this stuff again and I saw Complexity was on at 6 a.m. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna set an alarm for 6 a.m. If I wake up and I stay up, and then I'll watch the Complexity game. If I don't wake up and I fall back asleep, I'm just gonna watch the Liquid game. So I fucking woke up and I watched Complexity destroyed 16-1 and Zywoo didn't fucking die in a map.
I watched the game back because I slept through it. I saw the early games. I was like, these games look good, but they don't look like 11 a.m. good. So I slept through it. But I rewatched the game from Zywoo's perspective, like the whole map from his perspective. It is one of the most boring games I have ever seen. Like,
yeah, he just didn't see anyone.
I took notes on each round, what he did, and some of them are like, they go to the other site, lol. He gets a kill on a tight angle, but Masuta had already killed 2 people in Banana.
Yeah, Masuta was just the best player in that series, in that game, and it wasn't close.
Throws a nade that does 50 damage, then sits in pit the rest of the round. Flashes from Masuta, and then they go B. Plays passive, Magist kills 4. Like, these are my notes for this game. He does nothing. Like,
and here's the thing: it's not like they it's not like they needed him to do something. They obviously won 16-1. And I don't know. It's fucking weird.
There was only one point in the game where he like nearly died. And that was somebody like shot him in the back when he wasn't looking and like missed the headshot. That was like he was in. It wasn't like an astounding performance from Zaiwu. Like he was literally never in danger.
Yeah,
He won like one fair gunfight.
Wasn't it he lost like 92 HP over the entire match?
It was 90 HP, 3 of which was full damage.
That's so dumb.
And he only took damage in 2 other fights. It was like 53 damage in like round 4, and then like 34 damage from the guy who should have killed him.
I wonder if at one point Vitality was just like, "Yo, it's protect the president time. We're making sure Zaiwu doesn't die."
I think in the last round of the game, you could kind of tell he was trying not to die because he's just like holding the flank the whole game, like the whole round. But like he was playing passively, and like the Complexity were all just dying before he saw anyone. And the second pistol round, he was actually like looking for a fight, and everyone was just dying around him. And then eventually he was in a 1v1, and like Grim ran around a corner with his knife out, and he just shot him. And like it was absurd. Complexity, look, they did not look good in that game.
Yeah,
they haven't looked good in any game yet.
I want to go team by team very quickly.
Yeah.
We'll start with Ents. Ents is currently, what is that? 2-1 after 3 days of play. After today, they may be 3-1. They may qualify straight through from this. They play Bad News Eagles today.
That's a banger game, by the way.
Yeah, that is a banger game. I don't think they've played yet, but that is a banger game. But Ents has done exactly what they needed to do. They beat 9Z. They beat Outsiders. They lost to G2 2-1. This is what I should expect from Ents. Yeah. Like if I was to go through these matches and I was to say this is what's going to happen, this is where they should be.
Good I think job, maybe Ents. They would beat G2, but
maybe they would beat G2, but like everyone, that's fine. Like good job, Ents. You did what you were supposed to do, and I don't mean that in like a dick way. I mean like
unless they lose to Bad News Eagles,
unless they lose to Bad News Eagles,
and by the time you listen to this, they might be 2-2 and like fighting for their life against Astralis or something. Like,
oh god. We don't need to talk about that yet. Okay, 9Z. As we talked about in the bit before this, they don't have a coach right now. They lost every match. They played good teams. Like they played a good team. They played Ents in their first opener. Then they lost to MIBR in a really really close match. And then they lost 2-0 to Liquid.
We'll get on to like Liquid you play against Liquid in an 0-2 game. You're like, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
They could have had Renegades or something, and then they've had a free win.
Yeah. All right. G2, as previously stated with Ents, they did what they were supposed to do. They beat Liquid. They beat Spirit in a very good game.
That was a banger. They were 14-4 up. It went to overtime.
Yeah,
and then they won.
A really good game. Beat Ents in the best of 3, qualified 3-0. I have no complaints about G2.
I do. Qualms. They keep winning, and I don't like it.
Yes, but other than that, I'm going to skip Liquid for a minute because we're going to need a longer discussion about Liquid. We're
going to need a bigger spatula.
Yeah. Fours.
Jerry. That's all. When I was at DreamHack and whenever Fours would play, the sound guy who sometimes I often sit next to, whenever the casters would say Jerry, he would start chanting Jerry like they do on Jerry Springer. So every time I see Jerry, all I want to do is just go Jerry. I love this guy. He's great. Fours look really good. But they lost in the 2-0 match to Vitality after taking Mat 1. It was a really good game. They're currently, as we record, playing against Outsiders, which has been a ludicrous game. I don't know if you watched Mat 1. Fours were like 11-0 up, and then Outsiders pulled it back to 12-11. Yekindar at one point was 1-12, and I think he finished 20-18. It was a ludicrous game. I don't know what happened, and then Fours just closed it. And then I went out and missed map 2, but it's in map 3 currently, and it's going to be super tight. I just have a feeling fours are going to win because outsiders just love being 2-2. That's their comfort zone.
Yeah, fours very good.
Yeah,
We
I
all
like
like
this team. They're good fun.
we did TLDR pick'ems ahead of the major in a big spreadsheet, and I'm pretty sure it was like 90% of us that all had fours moving on at the very
I
least, if
had
not
them
like
3-0,
yeah, if
unfortunately.
not 3-0. Like a lot of people had them that way. To be fair, the most popular 3-0 pick was Ents. They did not get 3-0.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I just had a feeling fours were going to go 3-0, and I was kind of close. I mean, they won first map in their 2-0 game.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing: fours and Ents, both good picks. They were 2-0. They lost 2-1 in their
Yeah.
2-0 game. All right, Renegades. Yes,
Yeah, they're bad.
I'm
They're
not
just
sure what
bad.
you.
You
Yeah,
can say anything you want. They're just not a very good team. Like you
I
can
have a
make the
solution
excuse
to
you
fix
want,
them
whatever.
though. I have a solution.
Is it plus JKS?
It absolutely
Yeah,
is plus
there we go.
JKS.
I look. JKS is a good player, right? And his time on phase very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm fucking sick of hearing his name.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's another thing we forgot in the beginning part. Apparently, Jason Lake said that there has been no contact from anyone about acquiring JKS,
Yeah,
which part of me says, yeah, that makes sense, because why would anybody be looking to make a roster change right now before the major? My thinking is there may be a little bit more like questioning right after the major when people are
yep.
looking to make moves. Um, but yeah, apparently no one's reached out to him yet, which is okay, sure.
Yeah, people have gone insane. JKS, his time and complexity wasn't that great. He looked very good as a stand-in, and he looked very good on Renegades.
Mhm.
But people sort of seem to think he's the greatest player in the world, and he will just fit in on any team. And it's like, I mean, maybe, but I really liked JKS on Renegade. I thought he was a really good player, but it's just bizarre to me how like every team's they should just sign JKS. I'm like, I don't think it's A, that easy, and B, he's not the
Yeah.
solution to every problem.
He's just most of the problems.
But Yekindar's available. Like I get people are now just saying like to add Yekindar and JKS to any teams. Oh yeah, Fnatic
Well,
should just sign Yekindar and JKS. Like
to be fair, we are convinced that Yekindar is going to end up on Liquid, so it doesn't really matter what we say about that if we're convinced on that.
I think I don't know. I think he might like it's like Liquid. It might be like Navi if Electronic goes. Oh, I don't know. Fuck it, fours.
All right, Astralis. They are currently 2-1, playing against Spirit. They played
They're
against
2-2.
Spirit.
Yeah,
They're
Spirit.
2-2. They
Spirit dicked
lost.
him.
Yeah, they
Spirit
did that.
put him to the sword.
They did that,
Look,
didn't they?
and so Spirit are one of the teams who don't have their coach.
Yes.
Which means that Chopper has more of a vice grip over his players. And look what it does.
They qualified.
They 2-0'd Astralis with like a 16-6 on map 2. They smashed Astralis. Like that was super dominant. And yeah, Spirit go through 3-1. They're in the legend stage. But seriously, I mean, obviously I'm a big Chopper fanboy, but
yeah,
this team lost its star man like 6 months ago. They benched him because he wasn't listening to instructions, supposedly. And then like replaced him with Patsy, who everyone kind of knew was pretty good, and Siren, who nobody knew anything about. And they like don't look any worse. Like they lost a guy who was like in the honourable mentions for the HLTV top 20, and in my opinion was robbed for HLTV top 20. He's just on their bench.
Who are you talking about again? Because I'm going
Mia.
insane. I forgot Mir existed. Yeah, okay, continue.
Yeah, so they lost him and just they haven't missed a beat. Like Dexter's still just an absolute freak on the AWP.
Yep.
Patsy looks unbelievable. He was on their academy team and he was pretty hyped on Espada. Him and Dexter were like a duo that was feared by a lot of tier 2 teams. But like he seemed to take a little while to get into the swing of things. But now he's looked settled and he looks crazy good. This team's, I don't know, it's fun. I like it when Spirit do well.
I mean, Spirit's just a fun team. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now we've had our conversation about Spirit, which is lovely. IHC, which is apparently a crypto thing. I,
I don't know.
their thing says coin at the end. IHC they lost against Astralis, and then they lost against Complexity, and then they won against Renegades. And honestly, today will actually have lost against Imperial, so they're out of the major. I didn't expect anything more.
Yeah, they looked all right,
They looked fine.
but they
It's
did lose to
unfortunate because
Imperial.
like
Like,
I want the OCE teams to do well, but they're not. um,
I would say I don't think Mongolia is in Oceania. I know you're
no,
American,
but
so like
no, I
geographist.
I know it's not an Oceania, but isn't it the Oceania Minor, or is it
It's
the
the
Oceania
Asia
Armar
minor.
event? Is it the Asian Armar?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
They don't put
I thought
Tyloo in the Oceania minor. That'd
it
be.
used to be Oceania. They used to call it Oceania, at least for
It was
some
always
shit.
called the Asia minor.
Okay, I'm just
They
fucking
just
gaslighting
put
myself.
the
Don't worry
like
about
they
it.
don't have anywhere else for the Australian teams to go, so they make them play against Tyloo.
I'm gaslighting myself. Don't worry about it. Vitality. None of us were very excited about Vitality ahead of this.
Yeah,
Neither of us thought they were going to do super well. They 3-0'd. Yeah.
yep,
Yep. That.
yeah, they did.
Yeah. As we stated before, Zaiwu, the only deathless game against a top 30 team ever. Um, they then beat up on Australis and then beat Force, who we've already said was a good team. So, like, yeah.
Yeah, they look kind of scary. It's kind of annoying.
I also realize I've missed Australis, but we'll get to them later. That'll be in the liquid category.
Yeah,
Um, complexity. They welcome to North America.
yeah.
I have no other words other than that.
This team. Hmm, I I don't understand how they're as bad as they are.
I
I
You're
just
asking
don't
the
get
wrong
it.
person.
I heard apparently their communication's not great, but I mean, it doesn't still. They looks like Junior just looks like he can't aim anymore.
Yeah, no, I was watching the complexity team the other day. I was watching. I think it was Complexity Outsiders, perhaps. It
Yeah,
mayhaps been Complexities
I think it was
IHC.
Outsiders. Yeah,
But I watched the game, and I my roommate who writes our Valorant newsletter, right? He and I were watching the game, and both of us were like, that was a senior moment right there, just about Junior. Like, and it just he looked like he looked like he couldn't hit a shot again.
yeah. I don't know what's happened to him. He was decent, and like people think like because all anyone's ever seen of Junior is that he's just looked like a lot of the people who've only watched like a tier one think like he's
Xperia.
just awful. And I swear he wasn't this bad. Like
No,
maybe I'm just dumb, but like I swear he wasn't this bad before.
no, he was great on Triumph, but as we now understand, playing at a Triumph level may not be.
Sure, but like you don't like lose the ability to move your mouse and click. Like I
Yeah,
don't know, man. Like he just misses shots that he just wouldn't miss before. I can understand like there being a playstyle issue, like that's that happens, but he just looks bad. Like he just looks really bad.
yeah,
It's bizarre to me.
it's so weird. But yeah, Complexity's playing Liquid right now. They're down a map, but they're on map 2. Uh,
Liquid
they're
are gonna
playing
win
pretty.
that. Like
They should.
yeah,
There's almost no chance they don't.
yeah, they're going
Eat
to.
my
Like
eat my words, but
Liquid are going to win. Complexity just look
MIBR.
fucking sharp. Like I don't get it, man. They're so much worse than they should be.
Yeah, I don't know. So I was talking about this. I don't know what the solution is.
The solution is like find somebody who's not junior, probably to AWP. I don't know
Well,
who, like
who
minus
the fuck
maybe.
ops and you like put Voltage in? But Voltage, I don't know if Voltage is better than Junior right now.
Isn't minus meant to be pretty good?
Is he better than Junior right now though?
I gotta be worth a try at the moment. Like junior
Yeah.
just looks completely short of confidence. I don't know.
All right. Made in Brazil. They in fact have only had close games. Like I swear to God, they lost 14-16, they won 16-14, and then they lost 13-16. They only have close games.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like I find it very difficult to like concentrate on an MIBR game. I don't know why. Like I don't know. They're just kind of they're pretty decent, but you just never get the feeling they're going to be really good. Like
Yep.
I don't know what it is. Like they're a good team. They're kind of like a South American Sprout, where it's like, yeah, they're pretty decent,
Uh,
but like I have no faith in them ever upsetting a good team.
yeah. No, definitely, I definitely understand what you're saying.
Turtle's a pretty good player though. Turtle is
No,
a very good player.
there are definitely good players on the team. It's just
Yeah.
I understand what you mean.
Woody has a
Um,
cool sticker as well.
yes. Outsiders. We were actually convinced for a little while. We're in fact paid by the round. Um,
This team makes no fucking sense. Literally nothing about this team makes any sense.
yeah. There's zero rhyme or reason to why this team does anything. They've basically come out and said full stop that this team is dead.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
Kindar said it. Keekert said it. I'm pretty sure Buster said it. Like this team is dead, but like they're not.
it's the middle of the fucking major, and Kikert's giving an interview talking about how the CIS shuffle is dark and full of secrets. Like, but you got more important things on your hands. You're in the fucking major.
Dark
What are
and
you
full of
talking
secrets is
about?
my
Stop talking
favorite
about the
description.
fucking shuffle season. It's so bizarre. Like,
It's a dead team, brother. I don't know what to tell you.
but I don't, it's so weird, man. Like watching James just frustrates the fuck out of me. But like, I, I, to be fair, I don't think I could be on a team with James for like more than a year. But
Yep.
you're on a team with him, like you've won events, you've been deep into fucking tournaments with this team.
Yeah.
Like, please stop just talking about how you don't want to play together
Yeah,
and
make
fucking
it
play
fun.
together for one last. You've one last tournament together. Just fucking stop talking about the fact that you're going to leave and just. But they don't even look. They do kind of look bad, but they always kind of look bad, and then also kind of look like the best team in the world at the same
The
time.
pay by the round joke is not a real joke because every map is close. You said it before. They thrive in the 2-2.
Yeah.
That's the team is best when they are just absolutely backs against the wall. Like
I thought like finally they were going to just completely bow out against fours. Like I thought finally their back was going to break instead of just bending. And then no, 11-0 down. Yeah, let's pull it back and then lose. Like they just don't die. Even when they're a dead team, they still don't fucking die.
fucking cats, man. They just 9 lives.
This team, I really like outsiders. Like I like this quintet, but it's really annoying. Even when you want them to win, they're annoying because they just don't like it. Nothing makes sense. They have the most aggressive player in the world and the most passive player in the world on the same team. Whenever they're bad, like they'll look horrific for like 10 rounds in a row, and then they'll look like the best team for the next 10 rounds. It's so bizarre, and I'm pretty certain they're just going to lose and go 2-2 because it's just the way that's just the way they do things.
Yep, there's no rhyme or reason to outsiders,
and I think if they do lose, is a good chance they play Imperial in the next round. So they're gonna break like
against basically dead team.
They're gonna it's a dead team versus a geriatric team. They're gonna like break some more hearts. Like they've already crushed the whole of Portugal. Now they're gonna go to Portugal's big brother, Brazil, and break their hearts as well. They exist purely to annoy people. They exist purely to upset like underdogs. Just really, really annoy them.
Yeah.
I love them, but I also hate them.
Welcome to the outsider paradox.
There's nothing you can say about this team that hasn't already been said, and even when you know what's going to happen, it still doesn't make any fucking sense. This team's so bizarre.
All right, we got to move on from outsiders. Imperial geriatrics lost to Spirit. Somehow beat Liquid because Fur had the greatest game of his life in the last 5 years. Lost to Bad News Eagles. Barely beat IHC this morning.
I really want Imperial to go through, but unfortunately I think they play the loser of fours outsiders, and I can't see them being either of them.
Yeah,
I really want Fallen and Fur to be in the Legend stage once more. Like
I
that's so cool to me.
it's just like once in a while first shows he still has whatever it was, right? And then the rest of the time he's just an actual dead weight.
But that he was kind
There's
of
no
like
in
that when
between.
even when he was good, he was like a
Yeah,
coin flip as to world class or
but he
you
had
know.
this guy named Coldzera
Yeah.
who
Yeah,
like
he did
who
carry
could
Coldzera, you're right.
no more of like Coldzera was good at the time, and he had this guy named Coldzera who could like carry him through being shit once in a while, right? Like, and
Agree to disagree.
Fallen was also a world class opera at the
I
time.
love Fallen. I really just want to see Fallen back on the Legend stage. It's a fitting name. Like if this team goes through, Legend stage is a really fitting name for them because
Can we
they
just
truly
rename
are. Like,
Imperial? It's not Last Dance anymore. It's the Legend Stage team.
yeah, they're just gonna rename the Legend stage to the Imperial stage. Like, I don't know. I like people don't like this team because for they don't like Brazilian fans, which is whatever. But I love seeing Fallen, Fur, and FNX just like fucking going back at it.
Hey,
I also like Bolts as a
FNX
player.
FNX is on the Steam, which means there's a possibility of a major. I mean, like there's some
I
serious
can't,
math behind this.
I can't believe Liquid lost.
Hold up on
That's
your
so.
Liquid talk. We're gonna have a long conversation about Liquid in a moment.
I have a friend who hasn't watched like Counter Strike in like 3 years, and I just turned to him the other day and I went, "Do you remember Fallen, Fur, and FNX?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "They just beat Liquid in 2022 at the major," and he just laughed. So he doesn't even he's like if he remembers them, they must be old at this point. He doesn't really watch Counter Strike, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you remember Fallen and Fur?
All right. Eternal Fire. They were my strong 0-3 pick. I was wrong.
Yeah, they're a
Um,
big question mark. I have literally no idea if this team is. I don't know if this team is genuinely bad or just mediocre, but they're not good.
I would tend to agree they are in fact in that ballpark. Yes.
Yeah, maybe they are good. I don't know. They ran Bad News Eagles close. They got beat by Spirit pretty handily, but like
Who
they got
doesn't?
11 rounds, so there's more than Astralis got on either map, I think. And then they hammered Renegades, which also doesn't mean anything because Renegades are comfortably the worst team of the event.
Yeah.
So and now they play MIBR. So even if they win that, I'll still have no idea if they're any good. If they beat them, they play either I think it's either Forza or
If
they
they
play
beat
either
them,
Forza or Astralis. Then we'll know. If they beat either Forza or Astralis, then they're good. If they lose to them, I still have no idea.
yeah. All right, we got 3 teams left. First team of the 3, Bad News Eagles, a team we were all very excited for ahead of the major. They're 2-1. They're not doing terrible. They're actually doing fairly well. They're playing Ents later today. They may have qualified by this point. If they don't qualify by this point, they'll be in the 2-2 stage, and they still may qualify. And I legitimately might take Bad News Eagles against a lot of teams here.
Yeah. Bad News Eagles play Ents, which is an unfortunate draw. But if they beat them, if they lose to them, they've still got a chance. And like the 2-2 teams, they are probably the best team. It's either them or like outsiders or fours who are like the best team in that pool. Like you kind of fancy them to get out. Like
Yeah,
they
I
look
still
good.
think
Like they look
I
like a
still
good
think
team.
I think they make the next stage. I'm fairly confident in that.
It's going to be tight, but they might
Yeah.
play against Liquid in their final game. Which
To
would
be
be
fair,
fun.
Bad News Eagles, right? If we went into this major saying Vitality was like not good as we did, and G2 was questionable, right? Bad News Eagles was a top 5 top 5 roster, just like on base because just everyone else has been bad recently.
I think top 5 might be a stretch. They were probably
Not in the
eighth.
major, in this stage.
Yeah, I know. They
Okay.
were still probably 8th.
Okay,
But I mean, that's
even
still
if
impressive.
yeah, like I'd still take them over literally half the teams. I mean, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
so.
I think even if they go out, I still would be like, they were unlucky.
I mean, and to be fair, they've at least gotten something out of the major because James Banks is now their team manager.
And they made banks as well because they don't have an org to steal all their sticker money.
Yeah, they got all the sticker money now.
Exactly. Yeah, James Banks is now their team manager, which is bizarre.
Yeah,
It was
apparently
very
it's just
weird.
so he came out on Twitter and was just like, yeah, apparently, like I have time and they need help because their coach has been their manager, their coach, and their analyst. So like, I'm just trying to help offload the workload a little bit. I'm not taking like pay or anything. I'm just trying to help them out.
I don't think they can afford to pay him. They don't have a salary.
No, I honestly I think it's a help to them on just being able to put the Twitter
Yeah,
post out that says Banks is
yeah,
the team
yeah.
manager now.
It gives them some legitimacy
Like
as well, right?
that's a help on its own. Like, do you know what their Twitter handle is?
Uh, isn't it like underscore bad news Eagles?
Yeah, it's an underscore. They don't even have just bad news Eagles. They have to have an underscore before their
That's
name.
really depressing that I knew that off the top of my head, isn't it?
Well, it's weird enough that you might need to know that
I
because
didn't. I
that's
didn't
the
even look it up. I just sort of went, yeah, I think it's underscore. Why do I know that? That's space in my brain that could be used for something much more important, like a smoke lineup or I don't know, my mom's birthday.
yeah. I can't
That's a
help you.
joke. I do know my mom's birthday.
All right, we had two teams to talk about, and the reason I've saved them for last is there's a strong possibility that they play each other in the next round. We have left Liquid and Astralis. Let's talk about Astralis first because they were definitely the better of the two. But yeah,
Astralis, I don't know. I thought they were good before. I thought they would not struggle, and then they went 2-0, and I was like, "Yep,
no, they
as
didn't
I
get to it.
expected." Oh no, sorry, they didn't go 2-0. They won their first games against IHC, whatever. They lost a best of one to Vitality. I was kind of surprised by that, but it's a best of one. Who cares?
And
Then they
Vitality
beat
turned out to be good.
MIBR, and you're
Vitality
like, "Oh,
turned out to be
fine."
good, so it's okay.
And they get to the best of threes, and they get absolutely fucking dicked by Spirit. And you're
Yeah.
like, uh, Astralis, hello, is anyone home? What's
So
hello?
I made a
That T
pick ahead
side's
of
awful.
this. Yeah, I made a pick ahead of major season this time that said that Astralis wasn't going to make the next stage, and I said that as like a just crotchety old Liquid fan that doesn't like to see Astralis ever like achieve anything because I still live in 2019. Um, but like in reality, they should have achieved something, and them being in 2-2 is not achieving something.
No, like they'll probably get out if they play against Liquid. They'll probably beat Liquid. If they play against Eternal Fire, they'll probably beat Eternal Fire. But
Anything other than that, though,
but
I'm
yeah, like I shouldn't have got here. I guess they only really lost one game they shouldn't have, which is Spirit in a best of three. But they got like routed by Spirit. Like it
yeah.
wasn't close. They
And
looked significantly lost.
the MIBR game was close though, and the Vitality game wasn't, and those should be flipped. It
Yeah,
just I have so many questions about this team. That's really where I'm at, and I don't have a good read on them at
I
all.
like Vitality went 3-0, and
Yep.
Astralis are in the 2-2 pool. How good is Zonic? That's like, and that's not a rhetorical question.
No, I
Like,
know we've been talking a long time. You and I, at least last year, we talked about like what is the value of a coach?
yeah,
Like what is like does a coach matter? And I think we said that for the most part, no. But if your name is Zonic or like Exitaz, maybe you matter as a coach.
it
Not
could
no
be.
like not shitting on other coaches, but like
Well,
maybe
yeah,
you
Glaive
matter.
without Zonic just like that. Astralis' T sides do not look good, and
Yeah.
obviously the players have changed or whatever. But Glaive was touted, maybe rightfully, as the greatest in-game leader of all time.
Yeah. And this doesn't look like
And
the
this is
greatest
who.
game
This is what
leader.
his team looks like after signing the players he wants after, but losing Zonic. This is what his team looks
Yeah.
like. Like this doesn't look like the work of the greatest in-game leader the world's ever seen. Maybe he had a peak and now he's past it. Maybe it's not his fault, and you know maybe like Zipex is just bad now. Blame F needs too many resources to actually be good. Like there's a bunch of things, and that's why it wasn't a rhetorical question. But Vitality looks more like Astralis than
And
Astralis,
Strauss, yeah.
and I'm starting to think that Zonic might have been I used to think actually Dupree was the best player on Astralis more than Device, which
Mhm.
was a take not many people agreed with.
I've
Um,
actually thought it's been Magisk for a while, but I know I'm also wrong on that take. So
I don't agree with that. I always thought it was Dupree, and Dupree's also gone there, but Device is obviously inactive at the moment, so you can't really tell how
yeah,
good he is outside of the system. But the three, I guess Vitality haven't looked that good until now, though. So it's hard to say, like, oh yeah, no, like Sonic and Dupree and Magist look so good away from this system, but Astralis it was because coming into this, Astralis did kind of look better than Vitality, I thought.
yeah,
Um, but now we're starting to see the Vitality project like starting to click. Let's take a little bit of time, but they're starting to click, and you see like Dupree and Magisk slotting in as they do. You see like this team looking like an old Astralis team, and then you look over at Astralis, and it's like everything's on fire, and Dexter's just ripped them open. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
I I, I don't have the answer to the question. Like is Zonic the most important piece? Is Dupree? I don't have the answer, but it's the question that looks more and more interesting the further we go into this major.
yeah. All right, we have one more team to talk about, and this one's a doozy. We gotta
Team
talk about Team
Liquid.
Liquid.
How do you lose to Imperial, bro?
I don't know.
I know it's best of one,
So
but
they lost to G2, 16-6.
yeah, not close. But
They lost to Imperial 16-10.
like
They're 0-2.
you can't pick Inferno against Vinny. He didn't even do anything. But you just you just don't pick Inferno against Vinny in a best of one. It doesn't make any sense.
And then they went and beat up on INZ, which, like, thank God they did something that was expected of them. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but, and now they're playing Complexity and they're winning against Complexity. It's 12-4 right now on
They're
Vertigo.
clapping Complexity.
They're
Let's be fair.
clapping Complexity right now. So
It was
maybe they
only
just
because of
got too.
12-3 half as well.
Maybe they got unlucky draws. I mean, to be fair, like, if we're going to be honest, in the first match, like, Hunter and Nico and Manesi were all on one.
Yeah.
They were on one. Like, it wasn't like just like, yeah, they're doing well. They were fucking on one.
And look, there's no shame to losing to Fallen Fur and FNX because these guys
Yeah,
are like
that's the problem.
two times major winners, you know? I mean, to be fair, Fur had like one of the best performances he's had in probably 5 years.
Yeah,
Um, and
but
maybe
like
you
I feel,
say you shouldn't let that happen if you're a good team, but also like
yeah,
sometimes Fur just dicks you, and it's like
yeah.
maybe we could have like flashed him a bit more, but
But
sometimes Fur just pops off.
here's the thing. I also subscribe to the why should we be giving excuses?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we shouldn't need to give excuses. This team should at least have been in the 1-1 bracket. Like, okay, maybe they end up in the 2-1 bracket, right? They play Bad News Eagles, they lose, right? Maybe they end up in the same place that they're in right now, right? But they should have beat Imperial
Yep.
on paper, and they shouldn't have needed to fight for their lives against 9Z in 0-2. Like,
Well,
Complexity were in 1-1.
the thing is, Liquid do only have like they have one guy who's a Valorant player, and then as well as Nitro. No, they have Nitro and Shocks, which is like a lot of like there aren't many teams that have two players who don't frag.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an old school idea, where sort of the modern school seems to be like one support and four fraggers.
Yeah.
That
Now,
that might be an oversimplification, but like Navi have like I guess Perfecto is sort of like he is kind of a support player, but he's also he can play, like he's a good player. Ents have like Diha as their like fourth fragger. Like you don't fuck with Diha. Like did you watch that game on Mirage he played? And it was against it was in the G2, no, not G2, the G2 game. On Mirage, Diha was like lights out. It's like
mhm.
it, Liquid's equivalent to Diha is Shocks. Do you know what I mean? Like their equivalent to Perfecto is Shocks. They're equivalent to Buster's a bad example because he did not look good at this tournament. They're equivalent to Jack's Shocks. Do you see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it only kind of works if your in-game leader is also an absolute gamer, but Nitro kind of isn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be their biggest downfall is they have two exceptional riflers, an exceptional AWPer,
And
and
then
then
the
Shocks and
supporting.
Nitro. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, on the plus side, NAF has looked fairly good this event. I say fairly because there was one map where he just didn't look good.
Yeah.
OC has looked honestly really fucking good. Like there have been maps where he hasn't been there, but the whole team hasn't been there. Right?
Yep.
OC has looked good. Alicia's looked good. Like the three people that need to look good have looked good. They just need the supporting help, right? And the big thing I want to talk about, right, is against 9Z, when you like backing against the wall, right? You go out if you lose this. Shocks played really fucking well.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
I
you
mean,
get
he
if
won a
you
bunch of
get
clutches, but it's against 9Z. Like,
I know, but like so my point is that's the blueprint, right? If you can take that, right, the thing that you did against 9Z, right, you have Shocks performing, right, because you're not expecting Nitro to perform as an IGL and just a guy who came from playing Valorant, right? If Shocks can perform to a degree, I don't even need him to perform to a star degree. If he can perform to a degree, then this team should be okay.
yeah, I do think they're hard capped though. Like even
Oh, they absolutely are.
like 2-2 seems like about right for this team, and I think they'll probably qualify. But I think I have them in my pick, and I was like, I think they'll have just enough to beat some of the worst teams because Elige, Nafly, and OC will just power through like a complexity, like a 9Z, like an IHC, something maybe a Bad News Eagles, but I don't think they have the enough firepower to muscle. Like you saw against G2, right? Where when Elige, Nafly, and OC can't just overpower, they just get smashed. Like when it's Monacy versus OC, and it's like, okay, so that's not a clear. You don't have a clear win condition there. It's like you start going down the list, and it's like Jax versus Hunter and Alexi B versus Nitro. You're like, well, there isn't like if you go man for man with G2,
you don't win.
Liquid don't win a single, like, not a single one of Liquid's players is better than their equivalent in G2. You could maybe argue OC versus Monacy.
Yeah, I'd debate that one. I'm not sure I'd win that debate, but I'd debate that one.
You could argue it. Mechanically, Monacy is freakish. He's
OC is
inhuman.
OC.
But he's not as clever as OC is.
Yeah.
But like that is a real problem because like they're a North American team at the end of the day, and North American teams are rarely like ridiculously well structured. They're not like they do you know what I mean? Like when
you're 100% right. I'm laughing.
Look at a Danish team, you think they might not have that much firepower, but you can trust them to get into the bomb site and play the post plants correctly.
Yeah.
Whereas North American teams have always relied on individual skill, and I think they should because I think that's the thing that they have over other, like that's sort of their defining factor. I think that's what you should go with. But you can't outskill G2 with Shocks in the roster. You can't, like, you need to replace Shocks with like Floppy to even think about having a chance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so there I think Ryan tweeted it. I'm gonna assume Ryan tweeted it because it's a very Ryan thing to tweet.
Fucking much.
It seems like a Ryan thing to tweet, which was how long after the Complexity Liquid game? If Liquid wins, that they pick up Floppy, and if Complexity wins, that they bring OC over. Which I don't think the OC over would ever happen, but like the
Complexity with OC's like a significantly better team.
I agree, but like I don't think Liquid would do that. But I think the Floppy over to Liquid is a not out of this world thing.
Floppy is too good to be on a team that doesn't have a chance of winning. Like anything, even a game. Like Floppy is really good. I don't think a lot of Europeans realize how good Floppy is. He is really good. I think he might be one of the best clutchers in the world. Like I think he's at least top 10, maybe top 5 clutcher. He's really good in the clutch. And as a site anchor, he always gets one. Like he's incredibly reliable,
Yeah.
and his sort of social media presence belies how intelligent he is as a player, because he comes across as a bit of an idiot, but he's
Yeah.
a very clever player. He's
All right.
mechanically gifted, and he's a very good clutcher.
It's
And
15-5 on Vertigo.
it
There's
is, yeah.
no way
They're getting
Liquid lose
stomped.
this,
Yeah, there's
right?
no way. And then you look at it, and like Floppy is 15 and 17. His team are getting smashed, and he's like the only one who's putting up resistance.
Yep.
There was a game early on in Complexity's thing where I think he dropped 30 on Ancient in like a 16-11 loss or something. It was like he literally could. They lost like multiple rounds where Floppy would get 2 or 3 kills, and then they would lose. And you're like, what? Like, literally, what is he supposed to do? Floppy is way too good to be on this team if they're gonna stick with like June. Like, and I feel really bad saying it because I was big on like the junior hype train, but I think he's a busted flush, and I think they need to rebuild around Floppy.
Mhm.
I think maybe just changing Orpa would help, honestly, but they
Start.
need to give Floppy the chance to do something because he's really good.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. NA is a fucking mess. Welcome to North America. I don't know what more to say on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the end of where we're at. Liquid already lost another round, so they're obviously going to lose this game now in overtime.
Complexity are basically out, and
Yeah,
I, it's really like I was hyped for this project. I'm so deflated by it now. Like
yeah.
I do kind of feel bad for the Americans, not that much, but I do kind of feel bad for them, for this team, because this team should be good, and then like juniors just turn into a bit rubbish. This
Yeah.
team, they don't look as well drilled as JT teams usually do. Like I've heard supposedly, I think it was in an interview JT did where he was like OC did like was his communication was so good, and that like really helped. Like I
I
think he was a
believe
bit
that
of a
every day of
second.
the week.
I think he was a bit of a secondary caller for them, and I think they really miss his like presence as a caller, as a communicator, as well as obviously as a player. But um, I think they might look to get in some more calling, like somebody else who can call a bit, which makes you wonder why the fuck Shox is there, because he's meant to be like the experience. Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm getting my teams mixed up. It's because I was thinking like, now Shox and OC are together, but I mean, if OC can secretary call, there really is no need for Shox on that team. But that's a different argument.
There's there's so many arguments
Yeah, no, I
about
was getting
this.
my teams mixed up. Complexity need. Well, it sounds to me like they need an Orpa who is a bit more willing to like call for himself, like tell people what he
Mhm.
wants. That's what it sounds like. I don't know who that Orpa is. Like maybe they have to look like international.
I hate looking international.
Yeah,
I've
but
I don't want to like fully get into this, but I was asked the other day, why is North American Counter Strike dead? Um, and it was asked as like a dick question. I gave an actual answer, right? My first answer was Valorant,
yeah,
and my second answer was a more serious answer, which was North American Counter Strike has recycled the same 12 players for the last 4 years, and if they don't recycle the players, they import someone from elsewhere. We never give young North American talent a chance.
yeah,
And when we do, i.e., Grim, Floppy, Junior, we put them in a position to fail.
yep,
It's very obvious that Grim's position on Team Liquid was not you're going to be a good player. It was, we need a warm body as our fifth person. It's very obvious that Floppy was put in a position to fail on the Juggernaut Cloud9 project, right? It's very obvious that Junior was put in a position to fail when he went to a fully Portuguese speaking team. Not speaking Portuguese, right? Like, it's been very obvious that anytime North America, and in conjunction with that Furia, give a young talent like a position on their team, they are never in a position to be able to succeed. And
no,
that's
I
the
agree.
biggest problem with North American Counter Strike right now is we don't give any of the up and coming talent a chance.
I do agree. But also, you have to find like who's the North American AWPer who steps up to this team. Like the names we came up with are Minus and Voltage. Like, do we really think?
Just put me on there.
Yeah, that'll work.
No, legitimately though. We talked about last week. We talked about who was it? We talked about Davenport University, who Elige like did the demo review of. Como Joe from Davenport is a really good AWPer. Like, maybe he's worth taking a look at. Like, there are legitimate things that maybe make sense, but I'm not here to start an entire discussion about why North American
that's the
Counter-Strike
thing,
is
right?
dead,
Like,
because
you're looking at like a uni team AWPer to go and play for like
I mean,
the
they play in
Dallas
advanced.
Cowboys.
They play in advanced.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. They play in advanced. Like, that's the level we're talking. Like, you're taking a ridiculously big gamble, and we're talking about you need to give Floppy the chance to actually win something, like to actually drag this team through. It's like you're not going to do that by making him like play with a uni kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, OC is about the only good AWPer in this region, and you don't have him. So you either go go 4 rifles. You like maybe Grim can be your AWPer. I don't know. Like, do you see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
maybe Grim or Floppy starts AWPing. I don't know, but like, what other option do you have? There's no good AWPer options. I'd say maybe Minus is good. He has good stats.
Yeah. Welcome to North America. Which is why point A, Valorant, is a legitimate point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Like,
it's not so much about losing players like Ethan. It's more
it's
about losing
about like
Curry.
losing. I was gonna say it's about losing Trent, who plays for the Guard right now, right? Who finished their first season of VCT at the top of their group
Yeah,
and went to Masters and flopped out because they're all new Valorant players. But we found out that this kid was beating like every other Valorant team while playing music in his ear during VCT. Like, he was literally playing music the entire time. Like,
nice.
people like that who are young, who have all moved to Valorant, that's
Yeah.
a huge amount of the stuff that we're losing, right?
That's
Like,
the real problem. It's not losing the established ones so much.
it's
It's
losing
losing
the
the up and
ones.
coming ones. I say
Yeah.
I'm convinced Curry would have been a really good player, and he moved to Valorant and played for T1. Like I'm convinced he was really good.
Yeah. All right. On that, we're gonna end. We've gone about 10 minutes too long on North American Counter-Strike. Liquid have lost 4 rounds in a row now, trying to close out this game. So
in the time we talked about how complexity needs to make changes, they've won every single round. So
yep. Yeah. All right. And on that note, follow us on Twitter at Logan Ramhap, at Aizyesque, and at ReadTLDR. We'll be back in next week where we'll have some better ideas. Week after that is going to be a little odd because Elliot is in
Antwerp,
that place. Yeah. And I am still here. Actually, I won't be here. I move out in a week and a half. So
nice.
I won't be here, but I'll be somewhere. We'll figure out.
Nice.
It'll be a new experience. All right. See you, everybody.
See ya.